Hi guys, this is Miss Basad here, and this is our second lesson. We're going to talk about cells today. What are cells? Cells are small building blocks of life or unit um, of living things. Now, cells can be found in every living thing. So they are small building blocks of life, as we may say, or small units of living things. Now, we can place cell into two categories. We have unicellular and multicellular. So we have unicellular organism and we have multicellular organism. Now, as the word suggested, uni means single or one. So unicellular organism are organisms that has only one cell. Whereas multicellular, as the word suggested, multi means they are organisms that has more than one cell. So some example of unicellular organisms are, we have amoeba and bacteria. So those are example of unicellular. And multicellular, we have human, tree, dogs, cat. There's a lots of multicellular organisms. Those are the more complex organisms. Now we're going to look at the plant and animal cell more in depth. So we have a plant cell here, over here, and we have an animal cell over here. As we can see, already they have two different shapes. Isn't that so? One is rectangular in shape and one is kind of circular in shape. So one have a definite shape and the other one don't have that much of a definite shape. So that's one difference already. And another difference, you can see the plant cell has more parts than an animal cell. Did you see that? Yes, a plant cell has more parts than an animal cell. So we have, we're just going to call the names first for you to be okay with them, and then we are going to state the functions of the parts. So here we have cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, vacuole, chloroplast, mitochondria, starch grain, and glycogen granule. So that's the parts. Now we can see that the cell wall and the chloroplast and starch grains are not a part of the animal cell. Only the plant cell have cell wall, cytoplasm, and starch grains. Whereas in the animal cell, only have glycogen granule. So glycogen granule cannot be found in a plant cell, only an animal cell. We have now we're going to talk about the cell wall. Now, what is the function of the cell wall? The function of the cell wall is to prevent the plant from bursting and keep the structure of the cell sturdy. keep it in a fixed position, actually, or fixed shape. So the cell wall is to prevent bursting and keep the cell in a fixed shape. That's the function of the cell wall. Now we have the cell membrane. Now the cell membrane is actually the outer part. Saw that? And it's the second part from the cell wall for the plant cell. Now the function is for the cell membrane actually controls all particles that goes in and out of the cell. So the cell membrane is partially permeable, meaning it only allows some substance to go in and some substance to come out. So basically it controls everything that goes in the cell and comes out of the cell. That's the job of the cell membrane. Now the cytoplasm is the jelly part of the cell. Yeah, it's jelly. And that is where all reaction take place. It's actually the house for all the cell, all the other organs, all the other parts, the cytoplasm. And the nucleus is known as the brain house or the brain of the cell. Right? Now in the nucleus we have genetic materials and deal with genes and so on, DNA and so on, right? So that's why it's called the brain. It actually controls everything that goes on. Then we have the vacuole. Now, the function of the vacuole is to store water and soluble substances. Now, your vacuole store all the water and waste, included food also. So your vacuole store water, waste, and food. Then we have the chloroplast. The chloroplast contains chlorophyll, and it's also known as the site of photosynthesis. So if you have a question in your exam, what is the site or which is the site of photosynthesis? Name the site of photosynthesis. It's the chloroplast. The chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis. Then we have the mitochondrion. Now the mitochondrion is known as the powerhouse, meaning this is where this part actually supplies the cell with energy. That's why it's named the powerhouse. So here is where energy is released. The mitochondrion is where energy is released. Then we have starch granule over here, and then we have glycogen granule. So from the diagram, we can say that there are basically three difference between the plant and animal cell. The plant cell has cell wall, basically four, you can say four, because cell wall, cytoplasm, starch granule, chloroplast, starch granule, and glycogen granule. So that's four parts. That is four difference. And then we mentioned about the shape also. That's another difference. So we have, that's like how much difference that we count? Are you keeping track? We have five difference. So we have the cell wall, the chloroplast, the starch grain, we have the glycogen granule, and the shape. So that's the difference. That's the five difference. And the similarities are things that they have in common or similar. Similar, we have the cell membrane. Both of them have cell membrane. Both of them have cytoplasm. Both of them have nucleus. Both of them have vacuole. Both of them have mitochondria. All right. So can you go back? Now, what's the function of the cell wall? The cell wall protects the cell from bursting and make the plant sturdy. The cell membrane controls all the particles or materials that go in and out of the cell. Then we have the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is the jelly part that all activities in the cell goes on. Then we have the nucleus. The nucleus is known as the brain because it contains genetics material and DNA and so on. Then we have the chloroplast. The chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis where photosynthesis takes place, and it contains chlorophyll. Then we have the mitochondria. Mitochondria is known as the powerhouse, and there's where energy is released. Then we have starch grains, and then we have glycogen granules. So this table is basically enforcing what we just said. What has what? The nucleus is singular, and the nuclei is plural. Number one. So we have the mitochondria is plural, and the mitochondrion is singular. Basically, these are the description and function. So the cytoplasm is, as we said, a jelly-like mass in which cell organelles are embedded, made up of 70% of water. It is where most of the cell's chemical reaction take place. So that's the cytoplasm, as we say, is where most of the reaction take place. Then we have the nucleus, sometimes described as the brain of the cell because it controls cell activities. Contains genetic materials called chromosomes. Chromosomes consist of DNA which give organism its specific characteristics. Then we have the mitochondrion. It's described as the powerhouse of the cell because it is the site where energy is produced during respiration. Cells that do a lot of work have a lot more mitochondria. For example, muscle cells. So the cells that do a lot of work, that do most of the work, are in constant work, have more mitochondria. Then we have cell wall located around outside of the cell membrane, mainly made up of cellulose. Gives the plant a fixed and relative sturdy structure, prevent the plant cell from bursting. We have the cell membrane, partly permeable membrane, which control the exchange of materials, for example, food or waste between the cell and its environment. As we said, it controls whatever goes in and come out of the cell, right? We have the chloroplast. The chloroplast contains green pigment, which is known as chlorophyll, which gives the plant its green color. So the chlorophyll gives the plant its green color. It's also the site where photosynthesis occurs. We knew that, right? Vacuole site where water and soluble substance, included food or waste, are stored. Ribosomes is the site where protein is made, either attached to endoplasmic reticulum or freely floating in the cytoplasm. Alright, so that's the function of the organelle And when they're talking about organelles, they're talking about the different parts in the plant, right? So if they ask you to name some organelles, it's not no fancy word. It's the parts of the plant they're basically asking you to label or name, right? Good. We have a question here. Discuss which cell would have more mitochondria, brain cells or muscle cells. Provide suitable reason for your answer. Which one do you think? Well, the muscle cells would have more mitochondria. Reason why your muscle is constantly at work, right? Your muscles need more energy to help you move, to help you do a lot of things, basically carry out the characteristics of life. Hence, your muscles would have more mitochondria. I'm not saying that your brain is not constantly at work. Yes, your brain is working, but your muscles would have more mitochondria. Here we have, why are most plants green and what is the significance of the plant being green? Most plants are green because they have a green pigment called chlorophyll. And what's the purpose of chlorophyll? Chlorophyll actually traps the sunlight. That's the function of chlorophyll. And you know the plants need sunlight in order to make food. So here we have the differences. As we said, we know the differences before, right? The plants have a rigid cell wall, so a variety of variation. So a little variation in cell shape. Whereas, so they're saying, and we knew the plant cell has cell wall, the animal cell do not have cell wall, right? The plant cell has chloroplasts, and the animal cell don't have chloroplasts. We don't need chlorophyll, so why would we have chloroplasts? The plant cell, another difference, the plant cell has a large vacuole, and the animal cell has a small vacuole, or sometimes none at all. Then we have plant cells store food as starch, and animal cells store food as glycogen. So that's some of the difference, and we highlighted that the shape is another difference. Yeah. So that brings us to the end in our lesson today. And what you're going to do for me in your notebook, you are going to define cell, define unicellular organism and multicellular organism. You're going to give me two examples of a unicellular organism and a multicellular organism. Please do not look at this video again and copy. The main fact that you can recall or you knew, or if you don't understand, you can view the video back again, but don't copy. After viewing the video, then you do this question. So you're going to define cells, you're going to define unicellular organism, multicellular organism, and then you're going to give me example of each. Then you are going to draw a plant cell and an animal cell. Without looking at this video, you're going to draw it. You're going to draw all the organelles inside, and you is going to label it. Alright? You're going to label it. Then you are going to write the name of the organelles, the cell organelles, and then you're going to write the function at the side of it. All. Then you're going to write Create a table, and then you're going to write the similarities for me in one table, similarities between plants and animal cell. And then you're going to create another table, and then you're going to write the differences between plant and animal cell. So one is a similarities, and one is a difference in a table. And you are doing all of these without looking at the video. Now, if you're not clear or you can't remember some of the stuff from the video, put your notebook down, look at the video again, look at the video and understand, and then go about answering those questions or doing it. The main idea is for you to know it, not for you to copy it. Okay? See you in the next video.